Hello, my little nightmares. This is me, Queen Nightmare, and welcome back. I am continuing with the Vampire and Werewolf series. It's the sequel. Remember, it's the sequel, not the first one. So please remember, don't skip the first one. Chapter 7. Early the next morning, the sun hadn't even started to rise when Levin had woken up, in pain. She's a female werewolf. And it's almost heating season. And female werewolves are more dangerous than males. Anyway, continue. It wasn't heating season yet, so she couldn't be in heat, she thought. Then she tried going back to sleep, but she couldn't. The pain was really bad, and she started whimpering in pain. With her face in her pillow, she didn't want to wake up anyone with her whimpers of pain. Ow, it hurts so much, Levin thought to herself, when a tear rolled down her cheek. 5 minutes later, Sirius came in to see if she was still asleep and wasn't having any nightmares. But little did he know what he was going to see. When he quietly opened the door and came inside the room, he was shocked to see the crying teen in a lot of pain. He closed the door and asked her, "Are you okay, Levin?" He asked, worried. No, it hurts. She tried not to talk too loud, not wanting to wake up Tonks and Remus, or Teddy for that matter. Yes, Teddy exists in this story, and he's only 10. That's why he wasn't on the train to Hogwarts. What happened? He asked her. I don't know. I just woke up in a lot of pain, she stuttered in reply. Her whimpers got louder, even though she tried not to whimper louder. Ouch, she said. Hey, Sirius. Can I talk to her? I think I know what's wrong. Remus had opened the door and stood behind Sirius. Okay. Sirius was hesitant to leave the room, but when he did, he closed the door behind him. Are you sure you're not in heat, even though it's still a little early? Remus asked. I don't think so. Is it... Ouch. Is it even possible? Levin asked Remus while she whimpered in pain between words. It is possible. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is your pain? Remus asked. 100, she replied. Then it's possible you're in heat, he replied. And sadly, other female werewolves have gone into heat early or are just preparing for it, meaning that there might not be any heating pills left. Remus said, Oh, Merlin, she thought to herself. She knew there was another way to get rid of her heat, but she didn't want to do it the natural way. The only other possible way was to have sex with your partner or partners. If you need help, just ask one of us. We won't refuse or be mad at you. Remus was assuring her, even though he knew that she wasn't ready for it. She replied while whimpering. A whole week later, her heat still hasn't stopped, and every time there were pills in the store, they would disappear as soon as they were stocked, because so many female werewolves were in heat. Levin didn't want to do it the natural way, but if she wanted to get rid of her heat, it was the only way. She was desperate to get rid of it. At dinner, she asked, Remus, can we talk, please? She decided to ask Remus for help. She tried not to whimper, but the pain was so unbearable. They went into the hallway to talk. Before Remus could finish his sentence, Levin started to kiss him. "Help me," she whimpered, desperately to get rid of her heat. "All right, but after dinner, I promise," Remus whispered, not wanting anyone else to hear the conversation. Just seeing her like this made him boing. I'm not saying the word. You know what it is. After dinner, Levin went up to her room and laid on her bed exhausted. She forgot about the fact that she asked Remus to help her. She was about to whimper in pain again when Remus entered the room, locked the door, and used a silencing charm. He got on the bed and started kissing her. When he put his hand under her shirt, he could feel her bones. Ever since her heat started, she had struggled to keep her food down, and even struggled to eat something. She was extremely skinny, and she wanted this to be over, so that she could start eating again without any problems. Smut Warning. She wrapped her legs around Remus and tugged his shirt, signaling for him to take it off. And he did exactly that. When she unwrapped her legs from Remus, he unbuttoned his shirt, took it off. Then he pulled her shirt off. A little while later, Remus had pulled his pants and boxers off. And he also pulled Levin's pants and panties off. Levin moved herself down to Remus's, palmed him gently, then she removed her hand from him and started sucking. 1 minute later, Levin had removed her lips from and moved back to kiss him. Remus started kissing Levin's neck, leaving hickeys and love bites on her neck. And a little while later, he put one finger in. She gasped, and a low moan escaped her lips. She relaxed, and Remus put a second finger in, which left her breathless, and she whimpered a little. 10 minutes later, Remus had stopped and guided himself to her entrance, teased it a little bit, then entering her. She let out a loud moan as he entered her. When he started to thrust, she wrapped her legs around his waist again. Remus pulled out so that they could change positions, and Levin got on top of Remus and started riding him. They both moaned loudly, and when Remus came to his end, Levin collapsed next to him. Remus used a non-verbal cleaning charm to clean up the bed and themselves, and another charm to put clothes on both of them. Levin cuddled up against Remus and fell asleep. As he threw the covers over the both of them, it's my first smut, so don't blame me if it's short. The next morning, when Levin woke up, Remus wasn't next to her. She got dressed and went downstairs. When she got to the kitchen, Remus and Teddy were making breakfast for everyone. "Morning, you two," Levin said to the two of them. "Morning, Levin," Teddy replied. "Morning, Levin," Remus replied, feeling somewhat guilty about last night. He knew she didn't want to do it, but she was desperate. Back with Septimus and his family, Severus had told him that Dawn did it to his sister during potions class, and Septimus and Draco weren't happy at all. Dawn was grounded until the end of spring break. Daddy? Destiny said softly to Septimus. Yes, sweetheart, Septimus asked. Can I bring Akira with me to school? Destiny asked, wanting to take her 9-year-old husky to Hogwarts. I'll have to talk to Dumbledore about that, Septimus replied. P.S. Akira is the husky that is pregnant, even if she's 9 years old. The father is Bolt, Neva's husky. Babe, are you okay? You look a lot paler than usual, Draco asked Septimus worriedly. Yeah, Before Septimus could finish the sentence, he felt sick, ran upstairs to the bathroom. Draco walked in while Septimus was throwing up. Babe, are you sure you're okay? Draco asked while holding Septimus's hair back. I'm not sure anymore, Septimus replied in pain after he stopped throwing up. Then something hit him. Not literally. It probably was the heat season for vampires and werewolves. He knew he was originally a girl, but then he transitioned. But he didn't get bottom surgery yet. He didn't want to anyway. Draco, isn't heating season for vampires and werewolves? Septimus asked, stuttering. Yes, it is, Draco replied. Septimus then stood up and grabbed Draco, dragged him to the bedroom. Septimus started kissing Draco and backed him up onto the bed, where he landed in the middle. Yeah, I'm not writing that shit. Chapter 8. 2 weeks later, Draco and Septimus went to the Leaky Cauldron. And when they got there, they saw a familiar group of people. They thought it must have been the band they saw 11 years ago, because Daniel, Draco's brother, was there. He had an arm around one of the female band members. Then Daniel looked at the young, attractive female with bright dark blue hair and beautiful diamond pearl like blue eyes, with a pearl necklace and matching pearl bracelets on his left arm. He and her hair turned bright pink, meaning that she was a metamorphagus. Hey, Daniel, Draco said as they walked over to the group of people. Hey, little bro, how's life and how's your family? Daniel replied, Great, life's great, the family's great. Who's the girl? Draco asked with a smirk on his face. Well, Draco, Septimus, this is my girlfriend, Katerina Pearl Gaunt, Daniel said, pulling her closer. Hi, nice to meet you, Katerina said, in a soft voice, a small, shy smile on her face. Hi, Katerina. I'm Draco, one of Daniel's younger brothers, Draco replied. Hello, Katerina, I'm Septimus, and I'm Draco's husband, Septimus said to Katerina. Katerina got on her tippy toes to whisper something in Daniel's ear. Daniel then whispered something back to her. Okay, lovebirds, stop whispering sweet things in each other's ears, one of the male band members said. Everyone called S, because nobody knew his real name, said something annoyed. Wow. Calm down, S. No need to get annoyed at all, Emma said, trying to calm S down. Whatever, S said. He was still somewhat annoyed because he was jealous. Not only was Katerina Daniel's soulmate, but he was too. and he was a little jealous of Daniel. "Hey, Draco and Septimus, long time no see," Emma said. "Yeah, it's been a while since we last saw you," Septimus replied. After catching up with them, Septimus asked a question that made everyone at the table silent. "If you don't mind me asking, what did Mary mean by ask all the professors of Hogwarts besides Flitwick, Sprout, and Dumbledore?" After a few seconds, Mary broke the silence, and what she said ripped Septimus in half. "Well, it all started in my first year of Hogwarts," she started, then continued. "On my first day, I didn't make any friends, not even on the train or in Slytherin. I was bullied and beaten up. Just before going to the Great Hall, I was covered in bruises from head to toe. And before I got up, my big brother, who was a sixth-year prefect, stood in front of me and helped me up. I couldn't walk. The sixth-year prefects that beat me up broke one of my legs, so when I got to the hospital wing, Madame Pomfrey fixed my leg, and I went to the Great Hall. Had a small, quick breakfast before going to class. When I got to my first class, which was Transfiguration with Professor McGonagall, she just stared at me. And when I couldn't do one thing right, she took 10 points from Slytherin. And then a student behind me threw a piece of paper at me. It said, 'Look what you did, idiot.' And when I got to potions, I wasn't any better. Someone sabotaged my potion, and Slytherin lost another 10 points. Then one of the students that had fake bruises on their face said I beat them up. I was sent to Dumbledore's office, and I explained everything to him, and he understood. And just before Charms class, I was beaten up again, and my brother wasn't there to help me this time. So I went to Charms class covered in bruises and a twisted wrist. And when Professor Flitwick saw me, he told one of the students that beat me up to take me to the hospital wing. The boy beat me up again, but this time I passed out. 2 minutes later, Professor Flitwick came looking for me and found me unconscious on the floor. In my second year, my brother became more distant, probably because Professor Snape went overboard with everything, even if he made the smallest mistake. Then that night, my brother Matt had enough of everything and hung himself. His roommate got there just before he succeeded in killing himself. And ever since that day, my brother has been in a coma, and the bullying got worse. And the teachers and other students weren't helping. They were meaner than before. And then one day, in my 7th year, Professor Snape took things to a whole new level, saying that maybe I should kill myself too. I then lashed out, said that I had enough of everything, and that I also thought about killing myself. Then I pulled up my sleeves, revealing my cuts on my wrists, and I had made myself with a knife. And there were bruises on my arms and wrists that people made. Everyone around me weren't quiet, and everyone and everything around me disappeared. Then I stormed out of the classroom, and as I left, I heard people whispering to each other about me. I ran out of the castle and to Hagrid. When I got there, he asked me what happened, and I told him everything. Then he started to comfort me as I tried fighting back tears. Mary said, and everyone went silent. It was like she was that 17-year-old girl again, in potions. Her hands started to shake, and she was fighting back tears again, as she lost the ability to hear anything. As soon as she regained her hearing, she and Emma left and apparated to their hotel. and went back to their room, where Mary broke down in tears as soon as she sat on the bed. All the words left Septimus's mouth. He was in shock. 10 minutes after that event, Draco and Septimus went home, and Septimus flooded his dad and asked him if what Mary said was true. Severus admitted it was true, and Septimus couldn't believe it. He then ended the conversation and went to bed, and under the covers he started crying. Then 4 minutes later, Draco came in after tucking his kids into bed and went over to Septimus to try comforting him. "Babe, it's okay. It happened in the past, and there's nothing we can do about it," Draco said, wrapping his arms around Septimus. "I know, but I can't help but feel some sorry part of myself for Mary. Her brother is still in a coma and might never wake up." Septimus replied, sniffing in between words. "I know you feel sorry for her, but there's nothing we can do," Draco said. 4 weeks later, they met up with Mary and Emma, when all of a sudden her wand started glowing, and a voice told her to go to St. Mongoose. And when they got there, one of the nurses told Mary that her brother was awake. "Really?" Mary said, shocked in disbelief. "Yes, he's awake, Mrs. Gold." The nurse replied, "By the way, Mary is Gregory's cousin, but Mary, was disowned from the family, and Gregory was never nice to her, and pretended that she never existed." They walked to Matt's room, and they saw him sitting up, staring at everyone. "Hey, Matt, it's been 18 years. Mary said happily that her brother was awake. Has it really been 18 years? Matt was shocked. "Yes, it has, but you're awake now." Mary tried not to jump up and down with excitement. "Damn, then I missed a lot," Matt said, sad on the inside. "I guess," Mary said, tilting her head to one side slightly. "So, what happened?" Matt asked Mary. "Well, I found my cellmate. I found out Professor Snape has a son. I'm part of a band, and Grayson moved to Romania to study and tame dragons," Mary said. "Wow, then I've missed a lot, huh?" Matt said, somewhat sadly. 4 weeks after he woke up, he was allowed to leave. Then, as soon as he was out of the hospital, he got on a plane to Romania. Septimus and Draco, this is chapter 9, by the way. Septimus and Draco took their children to visit the Dursleys. And when they got there, they saw Devon in a deep sleep on the couch. She looked a lot healthier than she was last time when they saw her. "Septimus! Draco!" said Petunia, as soon as she walked into the living room, holding a blanket. "Are those your kids?" Petunia asked, throwing a light pink blanket on with clouds, moons, stars, and rainbows over Devon. "Yes, they are, and Septimus and I are going away for a while. Nobody else can take care of them, so we thought we'd bring them here. And my mom is also bringing my little sister, since the boys are going to be going to their friend's house." Draco said, "Oh, how wonderful! I can't wait to meet them," Petunia said when Narcissa appeared right outside the house. Meanwhile, Severus and Ivy were at their house. They wanted kids, but they knew they couldn't have any since Severus was unable to get her pregnant. because of an accident that he had with potions a couple years ago. I'm sorry we can't have any kids together, Severus said in a sad tone. He knew he wanted kids, but he couldn't get her pregnant anymore. It was too late. Don't you dare say you're sorry to me again, Sev. I told you it's fine. It doesn't matter. I've said to him that he apologized for something that he couldn't stop. But don't you want... Just before Severus finished his sentence, Ivy cut him off. Yes, I do, but it doesn't matter. As long as I have you, I'm fine, Ivy said in a calm tone. Meanwhile, with Tonks, Remus, Sirius, and Levin, Teddy's at his grandmother's, Andromeda's place. Levin, can we talk? Sirius asked, her trying somewhat succeeding to do so, as he looked at the teen girl with the hot, not literally, outfit on. Yes, Siri. Levin replied. They went upstairs to talk. When they got upstairs, Levin noticed that Sirius was painfully had a problem. And it was noticeable noticeable through his jeans. Her eyes widened, and she filled her cheeks up with air as they stopped in the hallway. Sirius, before you start, I need to go do something. Go wait in your room for me, please, she asked, and he did exactly as he was told. Levin went downstairs to call Remus and Tonks up to his room so that she could tell them she was ready. When everyone was in Sirius's room, they talked for a bit, and Levin brought it up. Guys, she started. Yes, they all replied. She said, not really wanting to finish the sentence, but she didn't need to. Tonks had caught on. Are you sure? Tonks questioned her. Then Remus and Sirius caught on. Yes, Levin said. Her face was as red as a strawberry. All right, but don't worry. We'll try to be gentle. Remus and Sirius said at the same time. However, I think Remus is going to have a problem with that because the full moon is in 2 days, Sirius said as Levin's face became even more brighter and red. Then, before it even was possible, Remus was also flustered and started chasing Sirius around the room. Tonks and a completely red Levin just laughed. After a few seconds, Levin got impatient and grabbed Sirius by the shirt and kissed him passionately. As he was startled by the kiss, he started to deepen it and grabbed her thighs, lifting her up, walking over to the bed, placed her down gently, and motioned to Remus and Tonks to get on the bed as well. Warning, smut ahead. 25 minutes later, Sirius was eating Levin, and Remus was sucking Sirius. Levin was eating Tonks. Tonks was sucking Remus, and they all had each other's hands in their hair. Tonks tucked Levin's hair when she was close. Sirius did the same to Remus. Levin did the same to Sirius, and Remus did the same to Tonks. The teen and the young woman started pumping Sirius and Remus, while the guys each had a finger. Just before anyone felt better, Tonks started sucking, kissing, and biting on Levin's neck until she got to her sweet spot and stayed there for a while. Just as Tonks was about to stop sucking Levin's neck, Remus slid into Tonks' buttocks, and Levin slid into Sirius with a low moan, getting used to him. After a few seconds, Levin started riding Sirius, setting a steady pace. Remus was trying to be gentle into Tonks, but failed with flying colors. Tonks and Levin started making out without warning. Levin slipped her tongue into Tonks' mouth, which left her, Tonks, shocked. After Tonks and Levin changed positions with Sirius and Remus and was fully satisfied, all of them, therefore, they swapped guys. Now Remus was with Levin and Tonks with Sirius. 2 minutes later, Sirius broke through Tonks, and she moaned out in pleasure and pain. And he stopped, worried about her. Tonks, on the other hand, sped up. Sirius, it's okay, it's normal, Tonks said, and at that Sirius started meeting Tonks's thrusts for thrust. After a while, Sirius spilled into Tonks, and Remus pulled out of Levin before he felt better. They bit each other's necks. By the way, Remus did not break through. Tonks got off Sirius and rolled down beside him, as Remus rolled down next to Levin. Levin's POV. It's been 2 weeks since the bonding, and it's currently 5:02 in the morning, and I had just woken up to find a sleeping Sirius next to me, and to hear a door swinging open, and someone running into the bathroom, trying not to wake anyone up. Nobody's POV. Levin went to see who was up this early to use the bathroom, and when she got to the bathroom door, she heard someone throwing up. She went to see who it was, and to her surprise, it was Tonks throwing up. "Dora, are you okay?" Levin asked worriedly. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just a little nauseous, that's all," Tonks replied. "Okay." The teen forces herself back to her room while Tonks stands up, opens the cabinet above the sink, and takes something out of it. She closed the door, opened the box with a pregnancy test inside. After she took the test and waited 3 minutes, she picked it up, the test, and turned it over. When she saw that she tested positive, pregnant 1 to 2 weeks, she couldn't help but cry tears of joy. She was a little worried about how her soulmates would react and how Ted would react, because she knew the child inside of her didn't belong to Remus, because she hadn't had sex with Remus after the bonding, and he didn't break through her inner wall. She knew the only possible father had to be Sirius. I decided that Sirius and Dora will not be related in this story. Okay. She was scared about what everyone's reaction would be, especially Sirius, since he was the dad. So she crept downstairs, started working on the shirt for Ted that said Big Brother, and 2 more shirts, one saying Bun in the Oven, and the other was a baby growing with long sleeves saying Hi Daddy, Serious. She was done with the outfits by the time Teddy got home. Guys, come here. I have a surprise for you, Tonks called out. What is it, Dora? Sirius asked. I have a surprise for you guys, she replied. Sirius, go stand in the kitchen by the drawer where the knives and forks are. Ted, come with me. Tonks said to them. Okay. Sirius replied, confused, if only he knew what was about to go down. Okay, Mommy, Teddy said, following Tonks upstairs. After Tonks explained to Teddy that she was pregnant and put the Big Brother shirt on Teddy, and put the Bun and Oven shirt on. She put jackets, one each, over herself and Teddy. Herself and Teddy went downstairs. Ready? Tonks said, excitedly, but nervously at the same time. Yes, the 3 soulmates replied while Tonks pulled out her wand. 1, 2, 3, Tonks said. She waved her wand and took off her and Teddy's jackets and opened the drawer in front of Sirius. And inside the drawer was a positive pregnancy test and a long-sleeved baby growth that said, Hi, Daddy, Serious. Teddy's shirt sang Big Brother, and her shirt sang Bun in the Oven. Everyone was shocked, especially Serious. He was speechless. Chapter 10. Meanwhile, with Ivy and Severus was making a potion downstairs in the basement when it exploded in his face. Ivy was at the top of the stairs. Well, Sev, I thought you were the potion's prince, Ivy teased him. I'm offended. Severus pretended to be offended, making Ivy laugh. You know, Severus started, you haven't finished the bonding yet, so I can still get my revenge, Severus winked at her. Severus, she replied, covering her red face with her hands. Severus walked up the stairs, lifted Ivy up bridal style, and carried her to their bedroom. Severus laid Ivy down on the bed and started to tickle her. Sev, stop that. Stop that. Tickles. Ivy said in between laughs. Severus then started to kiss Ivy softly and took out his wand. After waving his wand twice, Ivy's and his clothes weren't on them anymore. Warning, more smut. Severus started kissing her neck gently as his inner vampire was coming out. 21 minutes later, Severus teases Ivy by grazing the tip of his against her entrance. Teasing it some more with his fingers. Severus, Ivy said, stuttering while bucking her hips out. What is it, love? Severus replied with a cheeky smirk, grabbing her hips and pushing them down. Stop teasing me, please, Ivy begged. Severus didn't reply and still continued to tease Ivy for a little while, before Severus pushed his into Ivy with a groan. Ivy gasped as he... Meanwhile, with Remus and Tonks, 11 Sirius, 9 months later, it was early that morning when Remus woke up because Tonks was tossing and turning in bed. Then Tonks woke up and sat up. Morning, Before she could finish her sentence, she felt a kick in her stomach. She had been feeling painful kicks that were at least 6 minutes apart since the last night, but she didn't think anything of it. I'm going to leave this in because I'm going to make a point. It doesn't feel like a kick. It's your uterus that's moving. It's not the kick part. Anatomy problems. And also, they're not kicks. It's just your uterus hole is getting bigger with your crowning. Why am I explaining anatomy of a book? I'm sorry. If it's not correct, don't put it in there. Anyways, going on. She turned on the hot and cold water tap's bathtub and filled it up with bubbles. After she finished running the water, she got into the water and relaxed, and 9 minutes at 2:11 a.m., the kicks had gotten worse, even since Tonks got into the bath, and all of a sudden her water broke. She bit her lips to stop herself from screaming into the painful kick. The water has already broke, you idiot. Sorry. Someone has never seen a show. She tried to call Remus without screaming or waking anyone else up, but she somewhat succeeded and miserably failed at the same time. She was able to wake Remus, but she also woke Sirius and Levin up. Are you okay, hon? Remus asked worriedly. The baby broke. My water broke. This baby's coming now. Your water breaks when you're having contractions. So when she was having contractions that night, she would already have her water break. So that's an incorrect statement. Anyways, Tonks said, biting her teeth together. When Levin and Sirius came into the room, 12 minutes later, the baby was born. If only it was that easy. And was being cleaned up by Sirius with a towel, handing over the baby girl to Tonks. That'll be your one day, love. Sirius teased Levin, and she hit him over the head. Ow! Sirius squirmed. If you don't want to get hurt, then don't tease her, Remus states obviously, but miserably failing to contain his laughter. Everyone laughed at the statement. Meanwhile, with Ivy and Severus, Ivy opened the door to Severus's lab while he was working on a cure for something. Sev, Ive said. What is it, darling? I'm busy, Severus asked. I know, but I need you now, Ivy said with a serious look on her face. But Severus just continued to work on a cure. Sorry, Ive. I can't right now. Severus said he was still busy mixing potions and working on lesson plans. Severus Snape, you've been working on that cure since last night. Now, you haven't had any breakfast yet, Ivy said, complaining and folding her arms. I haven't noticed it's morning yet, Severus said. Then the potion exploded all over Severus, and he was in shock. Ivy only called him by his full name when she was really annoyed at him, or when she needed him badly. Yes, they did it. But I ain't writing that. Not again. 37 weeks later. Ivy, I'm home, Severus called out, but nobody answered. Severus walked into the kitchen and saw a note on the fridge that read, Hey, Sevy, I'm in a lot of pain. By the time you read this, I'll be at St. Mongoose. Already. See you soon. XOXO. Ivy. When he finished reading the note, he went to St. Mongoose straight away. When he got there, Ivy was in a lot of pain, and Narcissa was there with her. And when Narcissa saw Severus, she went up to him, grabbed his arm, and dragged him to Ivy, who had tears rolling down her face. Are you okay, my poison ivy? Okay. Severus asked, worriedly. The pain was so bad that Ivy couldn't even answer him. After 39 minutes, something happened, and Severus had to leave the room. After an hour of worrying, Severus and Narcissa heard something coming from the room. When the doctor allowed them to go in, they were in shock. When they saw Ivy, she was holding a baby boy in her arms. And Ivy was just as shocked as Narcissa and Sirius. Severus. S names. My dude, what the fuck? Okay, Severus. But she was also very exhausted. Severus went over to her and took a little 4.5-pound boy from her and cuddled him while she drifted off to sleep. Meanwhile, with Destiny and her friends, first year flew by so fast they were already on the train back home for Christmas. So, Levin, I heard you were disowned from your family. Well, where are you living now? Aiden asked her curiously. I'm staying with Remus Lupin and his family. Levin replied, staring out the window and wanting to get back to her soulmates as soon as possible. Sorry, but I had to. I couldn't resist making a joke. Possible? I don't get the joke. Okay. Maybe I'm stupid, but that's it. Oh, okay, Aiden replied and started talking with Destiny and Neve. Again, the boys talked with each other as Levin continued staring out the window with Levin, Remus, Sirius, and Tonks. As soon as they got home, Levin grabbed Sirius by the arm, dragged him to his room. She started kissing him hungrily, feverishly. What's the matter, doll? Sirius said in a low voice. I had a terrible couple of weeks without all of you, and with the Quidditch game, with the Quidditch team, and with my brother, and with some stupid Slytherins, Levin said, not wanting to talk about how terrible it was without being with the three of them alone, and not all of the problems. So what do you want to do, baby girl? Severus asked, knowing what her answer would be, but he needed to make sure, and the idea of her wanting him, and only him, so bad turned him on. Before it was time to go back to Hogwarts, Levin went to Remus's room, woke him up, told him to go to Sirius's room because she wanted to ask them something very important. So, what did you want to ask us, Lev? Sirius asked, half asleep. Well, Levin started to, as she closed the door and put a locking and silencing charm around the room, so nobody could hear them. I've been thinking, and I know I'm still too young, but Levin paused for a moment and held her breath. But what? Remus asked anxiously. I want to have a baby, Levin said, finally breathing out. Of my own, Levin said before anyone else could say something. What? Remus said, and Remus and Sirius said, freaking out at the same time. Just seeing Tonks with Evelyn, it's just... Levin paused for a few seconds. It's not that I'm jealous, it's just the fact that I've always wanted to be a young mother, but I wanted to have one with someone that wouldn't abandon me when I say I'm pregnant, and I want the two of you to do it with me. No protection at all. Levin just stood up there looking down at her feet. Chapter 11. Are you sure, Levin? Remus asked. If you want this, then we'll do it, but we just need to make sure you're 100% sure you want this. Sirius said softly. Yes, I'm 100% sure. I want this. Levin said, slightly looking up and then looking them straight in the eye. I'm not writing this, I can't. The day before it was time to go back to Hogwarts, Levin wasn't in the mood to get out of bed, and she didn't feel well for a week because she had a fever, and it wasn't necessary to go to the hospital because it wasn't that bad. After a couple of hours, Severus came to their house and gave Levin a potion to help her. The next day, Levin was feeling a lot better after Severus gave her the potion the day before. 5 months before it was time to leave for Yule, or Christmas break, at Hogwarts, after dinner, Destiny and Nevi were in a lot of pain. Everyone thought it was because they either ate too much or they were starting their all the girls know what we're talking about. Yeah. But that wasn't the case. After 2 minutes, they took the 2 second years down to the hospital wing, and because Aiden was a prefect, she had to take charge of the situation. She told the four other girls to leave. After they left, Aiden went to get Professor Snape and Professor Longbottom. And after they told them what happened, they went back to the dorm. All right, listen up. There will be no talking until later tonight. Everyone is going to bed right now, whether you like it or not. Aiden ordered all the girls and made sure everyone was asleep before falling asleep herself. The next day, Nevi and Destiny woke up in the hospital wing. Destiny was extremely tired, fell asleep again, before realizing that her parents were there, and as soon as Nevi saw Neville, she hugged him and her mother left after she got a call from the ministry to go undercover to catch someone. Ugh, my head. Nevi felt more energetic than tired, which wasn't unusual. The only thing unusual was the fact that Destiny fell asleep after she woke up for a little bit. Nevi was a dark fae, which she got from Neville, and Destiny was a mix between a werewolf and a vampire. But there was something different about her, because she also had small angel wings and a beautiful bright ocean blue eyes with pinkish red color around her eyes, with small pearl white hearts and circles dotted around. The girls were taken home to get used to their new creature forms and to learn how to hide them. 5 months later, when it was time to go home for Yule Christmas, everyone got on the train, and as soon as the train stopped and everyone got off, Levin ran right to Tonks, who had come to pick her up. When they got home, Levin ran up to her room and told Tonks that she and nobody else was allowed to come upstairs until she called them. Author's note. Remus found a job and started working, and Sirius was at work as an orer, and Tonks knows that Levin wants a baby. When Remus and Sirius got back, Tonks told them they weren't allowed in Levin's room until she called them. That's weird. I thought she she'd want to try again, Sirius said, with a concerned look on his face. You guys can come up now, Levin yelled from her room. When they got there, everyone was shocked when they saw not only what Levin was wearing, but what they happened to her before she got back. Author's note. Here's what they saw. Pregnant picture. Before you ask, yes, I'm 5 months pregnant, Levin said with a shy smile before anyone else could say anything. Author's note. I'm having a major writer's block, so sorry if it takes me a while to update. And I'm working on 3 other books, this one and a different one on this account, and 2 others on my another account. Once again, sorry for the slow updates. She didn't write anymore? Oh, yeah, she did. What the hell? Another author's note. Merry Hawkmas Eve, everyone. Ouch. That hurt. Author's note. I made the other chapters on a different account, and I really don't want to rewrite anything, so I'll just put up some screenshots. Sorry if it's trashy and short. It's all I wrote because I have writer's block. Okay. 12. Septimus' point of view. We're going to visit my dad and Ivy today, so the kids grab our arms and we apparate to their house. When we get there, we see that Tonks, Sirius, Remus, and Levin are here with their kids. Then Mother, Septimus calls Ivy Mother, walks out of the house holding a baby. Mother, I thought you and Father couldn't have kids, I said questioningly. I thought it so too, but thought otherwise when little Cole, Wes Snape, was born, she replied with a soft smile. Aw, he's so cute, Tonks said, awing over Cole. Maybe he and Evelyn will be best friends one day, Tonks said as we all walked inside. Draco's POV. When we got to the living room, I was greeted by a big hug from my little sister, Kada, which means little dragon. Hi, Kada, I said as I looked down at her as she raises her head. I look up as she raised her head to look up at me and gives me a high smile. Not only is Kada the youngest of the quintuplets, but she's also mute. She can't speak. Then I saw that my mother was with someone else. Mother, care to explain? I asked, confused. Oh, yes. Draco, Zach, Draco, Mother said. Nice to meet you, Draco. Your mother has told me so much about you, Zach said as he rose from his seat and shook my hand, then sat back down. Again, my mother walks to the kitchen and I follow her. Draco, Zach is my soulmate, she said, a little ashamed that she has to get a divorce with my father while my younger siblings are still growing up. 13. Lucius, POV, 1 week later. I can't believe it. I was on my way to talk to Dumbledore because I have a problem with my youngest son, Lance, when I overheard him talking to someone about Nevi and Destiny. He's trying to gain everyone's trust on both sides of the family to kidnap them both and erase them from their memories. From our memories. He wants to use them for their power. I can't believe it. I need to talk to Tom. Maybe he could help, since he stopped the war and went into hiding a couple years ago. Only for Dumbledore to think that he won't come back. I need to protect them even if I haven't seen them in years, because I've been so busy with work since Kingsley quit his job as the Ministry of Magic. I was made the new Ministry of Magic, and I know of Black, Tonks, Lupin, and their new youngest mate. I don't know her last name, but she probably changed it to Lupin or Black. 14. Oh, man. Lucius's POV. Tom, I say when Tom steps out of the fireplace. Lucius, what did you want to talk about? He asked. I need you to come out of the hiding for my granddaughter and her friend. Dumbledore wants to kidnap them and erase them from our memories, since they're quite powerful. I beg, letting a little emotion show. Looking him dead in the eyes, he sighs and says, all right, I will, but remember, you owe me, since I'm doing you a favor. I nod, bowing, and reply, yes, my lord. 2 weeks later. Septimus' POV. Hurry up, kids! We need to go before he gets here. I yell, and all the kids run down the stairs with their bags over their shoulders. Draco, Neville, and Rylan are all at work, and we need to get out of here before Tumblefuck gets here, and I already have all mine. Dre's, Neville's, Rylan's stuff shrunk and packed into my bag. It's when I notice that Destiny and Navi are holding hands before quickly letting go before anyone notices. Little did they know, I already noticed. We operated and landed at the beginning of what looked like to be a dirt road. We walked down the road before stopping in front of a gate that looked like it was either made from black stained glass or from black crystal. It opened. I hiss in Parseltongue. The gate opens, revealing a road made from a mixture of quartz and marble that are covered with black and white. We walk on the path, enjoying the beautiful scenery of overgrown rose bushes, vines, and trees that cover every inch of the top, but there were big gaps between thin branches that had small leaves hanging on it that stretched across the walls on the other side of the path. Just enough moonlight shining through for us to see where we're going. We eventually get to the huge castle-like house. I walk up to the door and knock, but nobody answered. I knocked on the door 5 more times before I decided that we should turn around and leave. That's when the door opens, and I hear a slight familiar voice call out, softly, Septimus? I turn around to see Pansy standing there. Oh, Merlin, Pansy, it's so nice to see you again. I say, Pansy? I say, Auntie Pansy! I hear the kids cheer. Is it the end? I wonder if they're gonna make more. Hopefully they are. Because unless that's the end and that, like, it's happy and then they save him. Come on, please. Oh, it is the end of for right now. Let me see. Don't forget, go support Nicole_gaming. I absolutely recommend you go support the writer and read it for yourself if you want to follow along. But I will say this, that I don't make some of these. I have made some fan fiction in the past, and it was for creepypastas. If you want to see mine, my stuff is just Queen Nightmare. You can find it there. This has been updated on February 1st, 2021. So go show some love to the writer. And